Okay, this is Rani Ahmed with you. This is lesson 12 in TCL programming, procedures, functions, and variable scope. In this lesson, we'll learn how to write procedures and functions, okay, and know the variable scope, which is like the location of the variable within the code. Okay, how can I access it? Okay, so is the how can I access some variable according to its location in the code? Okay, if it's inside the function or outside the function, or inside the procedure or outside the procedure. Okay, its position, okay, in them or outside them has different meaning. Okay, now what's a procedure? Procedure is a collection of logic and programming statements, okay, within one name, okay, within a name that you decide to choose, like and they are mostly like mathematical functions too, but procedures don't return any value. Functions do return values. So functions and procedures are the same, but functions return value, procedures don't return value. And to define a function, okay, from math we used to do this like function name, okay, and put what we call the list of parameters, k, u, v, okay, are the list of parameters for this, or arguments for this function. Okay, now, or procedure is the same, but it doesn't return a value, as we said. So for example, and of course not for example here, I'm saying like to start writing a code for procedure, you just say proc, and this is the command which starts defining my custom command as per TCL way of expressing things. Okay, and say proc by copy is the name of my function or my procedure, and then list here the names of the arguments or the variables that the procedure will deal with, so it can work. Okay. Now there's two things, okay, regarding procedures, called there's a procedure which works by copy of the arguments, and there is a one that works by referencing the variables. Okay, and now we're gonna see what's the difference and how they are used. Now my main program starts from this line. Let me separate it. Okay, and imagine I have three variables, a and b and c, capital A and B and C. Remember, TCL is case sensitive, so big letters are different than small letters in naming. Okay, so A is 2, B is 4, and C is 6. Okay, now if now I'm saying, okay, now what will happen if I use the function or the procedure which is by copy, okay, before I use it? Before I use it, this is the variables the same as they are, 2, 4, 6. But if I go by copy, this is how I call it. So if I want to use this piece of code which is under the name of by copy, I have to say what's in A, what's in B, what's in C. Okay, either you use variables or you use numbers or data or strings directly. Okay, here I'm using variables. So proc by copy, procedure by copy, I have to mention the arguments or this procedure, which is $A and $B and $C, which are those three variables, and when I get to that, when I call it, I have to go back, and the computer will do the same in his own way. It will go to this piece of code here and gets in by replacing what's A, what's B, what's C. But what will happen is that capital A and capital B and capital C will not change. Okay, and this line, okay, will tell the programmer, if he is debugging, if he wants to know what's going on in this procedure, it will tell him that this is $A, this is $B, and $C small letters. Okay, those each one are respective. Okay, so capital A is for capital small a, capital B is for small b, capital C for small c. Okay, and this is the execution here of my program. So this is ABC before by copy, because this is what I've done in my program. Now when I pass them to by copy, let me make this always on top. So when I send the ABC, they get in as by copy small a, small b, and small c, the same as the capitals. Okay, now after by copy, when I go out from by copy, it will go 2, 4, 6, and they're still the same. They have not changed. Okay, so the arguments here, I am replacing them with the variables over here respectively. Okay, and we use the ones that are from the arguments here, and they are the ones which are manipulated inside the procedure. But if I'm using this method, okay, the original variables, the capitals here, as in our method of writing, okay, they will not be changed. Now the opposite of it is by reference. Okay, how? If we set the same variables again, use the same variables again, the same value, okay, same values, 2, 4, 6. Now if we look here, first, yes, they are still 2, 4, 6 because they are still the same. Nothing happened before. We did not enter the procedure by reference. Okay, and if I'm using by reference, I must remove the dollar signs. Okay, because I want by reference, which means I have to go to point at the content, okay, of each variable. Okay, and therefore I will be able to change the contents. Okay, so what will happen is, this is procedure by reference, and to get the references and the variables that, or the arguments that I input to this function, I have to use this command which is called appvar. Okay, and I'll tell it which variable will be redefined inside my program. So if you look here with me, and by the way, I'm multiplying the numbers. Okay, like a underscore is multiplied by 2, and b and c underscores, they are multiplied. But because I'm using appvar, okay, it must change those past arguments which refer to the capital A and capital B and capital C. Okay, and this is inside my by reference. Okay, see, I'm inside with the by reference, but when I go out from the by reference here, I'm now out of it. So when I'm out, wow, they changed. So 4, 8, 12. Okay, so the by reference, it changes what you made as an input for the arguments or the parameters. Okay, now those are procedures. Okay, and functions and procedures are the same. They use the same syntax, but the difference is that the function will always return something. So how this goes: if I have x as 3 and y is the value of the execution of my func, which takes $x, which takes this x. Okay, so what should I do? I must, because of the mentioning of this my func, I must go up there and find my func, which takes one parameter, which is x. And see, I have this command which is called return, which means my func, if you would like to consider my func as a variable, my func, okay, not my func with x as a parameter, just take this name as alone, okay, if you'd like to think this way, okay. My func considered as a variable, this my func will take the value of expression 2 times x. Okay, this is how it works. So return the value for whatever mentioned here. So this is how y will be. So it's twice the x, so it will be 6. So if we look here, y, which is my func, which is x equals 3 as per my code here. Okay, I'm just putting here 2 new lines. Okay, twice, new line as twice. So y equal my func, x equals $x. Okay, here the first x is just a string, next one is the variable with the value of the $x, and is the $y, which is already set from here. Okay, so it's 6. So this is how I make my function to return something. It's now similar to, very much similar to any mathematical function that we saw in around lesson 5. Okay. So and one other thing I want to tell you about return is that whenever it sees this command inside the function, it quits the function. Okay, whenever it sees it, okay, it quits it. So if there is some code below here, okay, and there is a return, okay, blah blah blah, okay, if you think this return will be reached, no, because this one precedes it, it's before it in sequence, okay, in the turn. So whenever just it sees return, whoop, it goes to outside of the function and goes back to the main programming, okay, to the main code. Now our next thing is something called by procedure by global. Now it's not about the procedure itself to be by global, but I have, you know, those variables are outside my code of the outside the code of the procedure, but I don't want to use references and by copy to access them. Okay, and those are, of course, with respect to the whole main program, they are global to it. They are not special to the procedure. So to let the procedure from its body, this is what we call the body, okay, usually the inside of the function, which is the body, okay, to let the function access those variables, and I don't have any parameters, okay, so what will happen, I made this function called proc by global, and it doesn't take anything, okay, but how to access those? I use the keyword or the command named global, okay, and I mentioned each time the variable. So I have klm, okay, as here 10 20 30, okay, and this is how I can access them. Okay, I don't have already here, as I told you, there's no parameters. So how I'm accessing them? I'm using the keyword global, okay, anytime I use the word global, it means something from outside the body, the current body. Okay, so my current body is proc by global, and I want KLM, okay, to be accessed from the body, from within the body directly. So that's all about procedures and functions and variable scope. Thanks for watching.